Welcome to your favorite deep dive. We're the place you come to unravel complex ideas and, hopefully, get some clear, actionable insights. Today, we're jumping into something pretty profound. It's called the magnetic mirror principle. Yeah, it's this really powerful idea that our inner world, our beliefs, our emotions, even our sense of who we are, actually shapes the reality we experience on the outside.
It really is fascinating, isn't it? It sort of bridges ancient wisdom with, well, modern science. And our mission today for this deep dive is basically to give you a quick but thorough look at how this principle works.
Okay.
We're pulling insights from a whole stack of different sources, really eclectic stuff, ancient mystical texts, cutting-edge neuroscience,
Wow.
and even the really mind-bending world of quantum physics.
A bit of everything.
Exactly. And the goal is to offer practical insights, things you can actually use in your life.
That's what I love about this. It's not just theory, right? It's about seeing how these deep ideas actually play out day to day. So yeah, get ready for what should be a pretty enjoyable, hopefully straightforward journey into some seriously powerful concepts. Let's get started.
Let's do it.
Okay, so one of the things that really grabs me about this is just how old this idea is. It's not like some new age fad.
Not at all.
It goes way back. Ancient civilizations. We're talking about that Hermetic maxim, as above, so below, as within, so without.
From the Emerald Tablet, right?
That's the one. Yeah. And it's fascinating how consistently you see this idea pop up in ancient wisdom, this connection between the big picture, the macrocosm, and our personal world, the microcosm.
Okay, so what does that actually mean? As within, so without?
Well, essentially, it suggests that the fundamental laws governing the universe are mirrored right inside us in our internal state. And it's not just Western thought. You find similar themes in Taoism with yin and yang.
Ah, the balance idea.
Right. And in Hindu philosophy, too, the concept of Maya, the idea that the world we see isn't fixed, but it's shaped, or maybe even illusory, depending on our consciousness.
Maya, right. So the core takeaway, the really powerful bit, is that how we perceive reality isn't passive. We're not just looking out a window. It's more like we're actively creating what we see based on what's inside.
Okay, actively creating.
Yeah.
That's a big concept. So if our inner world is doing this creating, how did, modern psychology start grappling with this? Carl Jung's idea of projection feels like it fits here.
It absolutely does, yeah. Jung talked about projection as a key psychological defense mechanism, often operates totally unconsciously,
Yeah.
So when we project, we're basically taking parts of ourselves, maybe things we don't like or things we're just not aware of, and we stick them onto other people unconsciously.
And that changes how we see them.
Exactly. It colors our whole perception. So, for example, if you constantly feel really irritated by a colleague, just feel that anger bubble up.
Yeah.
Jung would say, okay, hold on, look inside first. What anger is living inside you that you might be projecting onto them? It really shows how these unresolved inner emotions can directly shape the reality you experience with other people. They become a mirror, in a sense.
That's a huge realization for people, I think. It's not just them out there causing the feeling. It's often us reflecting something.
Right.
Okay, so moving from psychology to the brain itself, the actual mechanics, how does modern neuroscience explain the brain's part in this magnetic mirror?
This is where it gets really interesting with the reticular activating system, or the RAS.
The RAS.
Okay.
Yeah.
Neuroscience sees the RAS as a kind of gatekeeper. It filters the absolutely massive amount of sensory info that's constantly hitting us.
Right, there's so much coming in.
Exactly. And it decides what gets your attention based on your dominant beliefs and your emotions, what it thinks is important to you.
So if I believe, say, I'm unworthy,
Then your brain, specifically through the RAS, will actually tune itself to notice things, evidence, that confirm that belief. It literally highlights the stuff that matches your inner story. It creates a kind of selective reality for you.
wow, so it's actually filtering what we perceive to match what we already believe. That's kind of astonishing.
It is. And there's emerging research, fMRI studies and so on, suggesting that when people consistently focus on, say, positive identity statements, affirmations, if you like,
Yeah.
their brains actually show increased activity in neural pathways linked to motivation, emotional reward. These pathways get stronger.
So you can literally train your brain.
That's the implication. It reinforces how our internal narrative, our core beliefs, they literally sculpt our perception by telling the RAS what's important, what to look for. The key insight, really, is by consciously feeding your brain new positive internal stories, you can start to recalibrate that filter. You can train it to notice opportunities evidence that supports your growth instead of just confirming old limitations.
Okay, that makes sense. So if our inner state shapes perception, and maybe even our brain structure, it's kind of mind-blowing to think about what physics might say about reality itself. Let's try and tackle quantum mechanics. I know it's complex.
It definitely is complex, no doubt. But quantum physics offers this really profound parallel, or maybe analogy, to the mirror principle.
Okay.
One of the big revelations is the observer effect. You've probably heard of the double slit experiment.
Vaguely, yeah. Particles acting weirdly.
Exactly. Basically, particles like electrons behave differently depending on whether we're watching them. If you don't observe them, they act like spread out waves.
Yeah.
But the moment you try to measure which slit they go through, boom, they act like tiny localized particles.
So just looking changes the outcome. How do we connect that to, like, everyday life without sort of overstretching the science?
That's a really important point. We have to be careful not to make unsupported leaps. The direct causal link between quantum effects and our everyday consciousness is still very much debated, scientifically explored.
Right.
But the analogy is powerful. There are even variations like the delayed choice experiment, which seem to suggest that the measurement choice can affect the particle's past behavior retroactively.
Whoa.
So it parallels this idea that consciousness, our attention, our focus, isn't just passively observing reality. It might be actively participating in shaping it. It's a metaphor, really, for how your internal state, what you focus on, might shape the reflection you see playing out in your life.
That's a helpful way to think about it.
Yeah.
As a parallel. Okay, let's expand this mirror idea with Vadim Zeland's Reality Transurfing. He talks about a dual mirror. What's that about?
Right, Zeland. He was a Russian quantum physicist turned philosopher, interestingly. He proposed this dual mirror system. You've got the inner mirror, which is, well, your inner world. Beliefs, emotions, thoughts, your identity. It's like the blueprint, the frequency you're putting out.
Okay, the inner blueprint.
And then there's the outer mirror. That's the external world. Your life experiences, events, situations. And the key thing is they're constantly interacting. What you hold on the inside shapes what the outside mirror reflects back to you.
Constantly interacting. And he has this other concept, pendulums. They sound kind of ominous, like things that mess with your mirror.
Yeah, that's a really unique part of Zeland's work. Pendulums are basically energetic, collective thought forms. Think of big things like political ideologies or that outrage machine on social media.
Oh, yeah.
Economic anxieties, even just pervasive fashion trends, stuff that a lot of people buy into.
Okay.
And they feed off our attention and our emotion. If you get emotionally hooked by a pendulum, you get angry, you get fearful, you get swept up, you actually strengthen it.
You feed it.
Exactly. And then it can distort your own mirror, pull your reality in a negative direction, like getting sucked into online arguments all day. That makes your inner state chaotic, right? And then your outer reality might start reflecting more stress, more conflict. So it's about noticing when your energy is being kind of siphoned off by these big collective ideas that maybe don't actually serve you.
Right. Being mindful of where your attention goes. He also talks about inner intention versus outer intention. What's the difference there? How do we use outer intention?
Good question. Inner intention is basically willpower. It's trying hard, pushing, forcing things to happen, effort.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Outer intention, though, is different. It's more of a calm, trusting, non-resistant state. It's about allowing reality to align with your intention rather than fighting for it. Zeland says the dual mirror works best with outer intention. When your inner mirror is clear and aligned with what you want and you let go of resistance, the outer mirror starts to kind of rearrange circumstances almost effortlessly.
Effortlessly. How does that work practically?
Well, take networking, for example. Inner intention might be forcing yourself to go to events, pushing your business card on people. Outer intention would be calmly setting the intention to connect with inspiring people, feeling that connection internally, and then trusting that the right opportunities and encounters will just show up without all the struggle.
Trusting the flow.
Exactly. Your emotional attitude is the key, he says. That's the tuning mechanism. If you radiate positive, calm, trusting emotions, the mirror reflects back corresponding opportunities and experiences.
I like his smile test for that. It sounds so simple, just smiling at yourself in the mirror.
It is wonderfully simple, isn't it? He suggests doing it first thing in the morning, just look in the mirror, genuinely smile, and recalibrate that dual mirror system. And there's actually science that backs this up in a way. The facial feedback hypothesis.
What's that?
It shows that our facial expressions can actually influence our emotions. So even just physically holding a smile, even if it feels fake at first, can trigger the release of dopamine and serotonin. It literally lifts your mood.
Wow, just from the physical act.
Yeah. And that inner shift, that uplifted mood, can then lead to positive emotional contagion. You might find people respond more positively to you.
Okay, this idea that our expectations shape reality feels really concrete when we talk about self-fulfilling prophecies. Robert Merton's concept, how does that show up for us?
It's incredibly common. A self-fulfilling prophecy starts with a belief or an expectation, right? That belief then subtly, or maybe not so subtly, changes how you behave. And then other people or just the environment itself responds to your changed behavior in a way that ends up confirming your original expectation.
Ah, so it creates a loop.
Exactly. It's the magnetic mirror in action, really clearly showing how our inner narratives can literally create their own proof out there in the world.
And that Pygmalion effect study is just a classic, almost startling example in schools, right?
Oh, absolutely. Rosenthal and Jacobson, 1968. Teachers were told, totally at random, that certain kids were intellectual bloomers expected to blossom.
Even though they were chosen randomly.
Completely random. But because the teachers expected them to do well, they gave them more attention, more encouragement, maybe challenged them more. And guess what? After a year, those randomly selected kids showed significantly bigger jumps in their IQ scores compared to the others. The teacher's expectations literally help shape the student's academic reality.
That's powerful. So our beliefs about others can actually change their performance, which then confirms our beliefs, like a feedback loop between people.
It is, and you see it in relationships, too, with behavioral confirmation. If you expect your partner to be distant or withdrawn, you might unconsciously act a bit distant yourself. You hold back, which then prompts them to be more distant in response, confirming your initial fear.
Wow. We create the very thing we're afraid of sometimes.
Exactly. And even in therapy, like cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, a lot of the work is about identifying and breaking these self-reinforcing loops. You know, if someone holds the belief, I'm just not leadership material, they might avoid taking on responsibility, shy away from opportunities.
Which proves to them they aren't a leader.
Right. CBT helps them spot that loop, challenge the belief, and maybe try behaving differently, taking a small leadership step to start shifting the external reflection and ultimately the belief itself.
Okay, from the psychological mirror to the biological one. Let's talk mirror neurons. What are these, and why are they so important for understanding how we influence each other?
Mirror neurons are fascinating. Discovered by Giacomo Rizzolatti's team back in the 90s, they're these special brain cells that fire both when you do an action and also when you simply watch someone else do the same action.
So they mirror what we see.
Exactly. They create this internal simulation, this neurological mirroring. It's thought to be the biological foundation for things like empathy, imitation, learning by watching, understanding intentions, really core social skills.
So wait. When I see someone smile, my brain kind of feels like I'm smiling too. Is that why smiles are so contagious?
That's precisely the idea, yeah. Seeing a smile activates the same regions in your brain that fire when you actually smile yourself. It creates an internal echo. And it works for other things too. If you're around people who are projecting confidence or calmness, those states can literally start to resonate within you through this mirror neuron system they can catch.
So being around certain people can actually change our internal state.
There's evidence suggesting that. A study, I think it was 2019, actually linked mirror neuron activity levels to how accurate people were at reading others' emotions, their empathic accuracy.
Interesting.
So the practical takeaway is pretty clear. If you want to cultivate certain qualities like confidence or positivity, consciously surround yourself with people who already embody those qualities, their state can literally rub off on you neurologically.
And if you can't physically be around them?
Well, even consciously mimicking the posture, the facial expressions, maybe the tone of voice of someone you admire can potentially activate similar neural pathways within yourself, sort of like practicing the state you want to embody.
That's a really useful practical tip.
Yep.
Okay, so we understand a bit about how this mirror works, from ancient ideas to brain science. What about tools? What can we actually do to start consciously shaping our own mirror?
Great question. There are several really powerful practices that come up in the sources. One is from Michael Singer, author of The Untethered Soul. He talks about developing witness consciousness.
Witness consciousness, what's that?
It's basically practicing being an internal observer, developing this calm, aware presence inside you that just watches your thoughts, your emotions, your reactions without getting swept away by them, without judging them.
Okay, so like stepping back and just noticing what's happening inside. How does that help with the mirror?
By creating that space, that detachment, you stop identifying so strongly with every passing thought or feeling. And neuroscience is starting to back this up too. Studies on this kind of mindfulness or witness meditation show it can actually reduce activity in the amygdala.
The fear center.
Exactly. And increase connectivity in the prefrontal cortex, which is involved in emotional regulation and higher thinking. So essentially, it helps you clear the inner mirror. You're less reactive, less clouded by old patterns, so your reflection becomes clearer, more aligned with your true self, perhaps?
Okay, clearing the inner mirror. That makes sense. And then there's Louise Hay's mirror work. That sounds really direct.
It is incredibly direct. Louise Hay was a pioneer with this back in the 80s. It's literally looking yourself in the eyes in a mirror and speaking affirmations out loud. Things like, I love you, I approve of myself.
Saying them to yourself in the mirror.
Yes. The idea is to directly counteract self-criticism and build self-acceptance and self-love right at the source. And there are some preliminary clinical studies suggesting that combining mirror work with things like emotion-focused breathing can actually lower stress hormones like cortisol and increase feelings of self-compassion.
Interesting. We also touched on EFT tapping earlier. Emotional freedom technique. How does that fit in?
EFT tapping is another great tool for clearing the mirror, so to speak. It combines tapping on specific acupressure points while focusing on a negative emotion or a limiting belief. It's thought to help release the emotional intensity stored in the body and nervous system, kind of short-circuiting the pattern. So it's really good for quickly reducing the charge of things that might be distorting your inner mirror.
And for the deeper stuff, the unconscious patterns.
That's where something like shadow journaling comes in. This draws from Jungian ideas. It involves consciously exploring and writing about the parts of yourself you normally suppress or reject, the shadow aspects.
Bringing the hidden stuff into the light.
Exactly. By bringing these unconscious parts into awareness, you can start to understand them, integrate them, and heal them. This leads to a more whole, authentic self-reflection rather than having those hidden parts unconsciously run the show and distort your mirror.
So it sounds like you could actually combine these into a kind of daily magnetic mirror routine.
Absolutely. You could totally structure something like that. The sources kind of point towards it. Maybe start the day with some mirror work affirmations, setting a positive tone for your self-concept. Then maybe use EFT tapping during the day if specific emotional blocks or stresses come up.
Quick reset.
Yeah. And then perhaps in the evening, do some shadow journaling to reflect on the day's triggers, see what they mirrored back to you, maybe add in some visualization of your desired reality, feeling it as real, and definitely ending with some gratitude reflection.
Gratitude, yeah.
These are all pretty accessible tools, right? They offer ways to consciously and actively sculpt that inner mirror, aligning it more and more with the reality you truly want to experience. It's about taking charge of the reflection.
Okay, let's pull this all together. How does this magnetic mirror principle really show up in different areas of life? Relationships seem like a big one.
Oh, definitely. Relationships are maybe one of the clearest mirrors we have. Your core self-concept, how worthy you feel of love, respect, connection, profoundly shapes who you're attracted to and who you attract.
So if you don't feel worthy,
you might unconsciously find yourself drawn to partners or situations that confirm that feeling, that mirror that unworthiness back to you. Yeah. And then there's the emotional mirroring within the relationship. Partners often amplify each other's states, positive or negative. So applying something like mirror work to build genuine self-love or learning to set healthy boundaries, those actions directly reflect self-respect into your outer world, and that tends to draw healthier, more respectful connections.
Makes sense. What about work? Business, career, how does the mirror work there?
Very similarly. Your beliefs about your skills, your potential, your capabilities, especially around things like leadership or earning potential, form that inner mirror for your career path.
So if I think I'm not good enough for that promotion,
you might subconsciously avoid opportunities, not speak up in meetings, basically act in ways that ensure you don't get the promotion, confirming your belief.
The loop again?
Exactly. Conversely, consciously cultivating a belief in your abilities, maybe embodying confidence even if you have to practice it, taking small, smart risks that starts to shift the reflection, opening up new opportunities. And applying Zeland's outer intention here could look like calmly trusting that the right career moves will unfold rather than desperately forcing things. And definitely avoiding those workplace pendulums, office gossip, fear about layoffs, intense competition stuff that drains your energy and clouds your professional mirror.
Right. Stay focused on your own alignment. What about our physical health, our well-being? Is that a mirror too? It feels so direct.
It really does feel direct, doesn't it? The mind-body connection is a powerful mirror. We know chronic stress, buried emotions, limiting beliefs that can absolutely manifest physically, tension, illness, fatigue.
Yeah.
And we talked about the facial feedback hypothesis. Just smiling can release feel-good chemicals. It shows how directly our physical state can reflect and also influence our inner state. Your body often tells the story of your inner landscape, how well you're managing emotions, how aligned you feel.
And finally, something we're all swimming in, social media. How does that fit into this mirror concept?
Social media is like a giant collective digital mirror. And it can be tricky. It can definitely amplify those pendulums we discussed, drawing you into collective anxiety, outrage, comparison.
Oh, definitely compare.
Yeah, big time. But used mindfully, it can also be a tool to empower positive shifts in identity. You can find communities that support your growth, follow people who inspire you. The key is consciously curating your digital environment. Make it a space that reflects and reinforces your best self, your aspirations, rather than one that constantly mirrors back limitation, fear, or inadequacy. It's another part of your external world that you really do have the power to shape, to choose what you reflect and what reflects back at you.
Wow. Okay, what an incredible journey that was, exploring this magnetic mirror principle. We've gone from ancient mystics to neuroscience to quantum physics.
Yeah, quite a range.
And it all seems to point back to this really profound core truth. Reality isn't this fixed, solid thing out there. It's much more like a fluid reflection of what's going on inside us.
Exactly. Our beliefs, our emotions, our identity, even just where we put our attention, they're constantly shaping the world we experience. Real change, genuine transformation, it really does start from within.
It's amazing how consistent that message is across such different fields, isn't it?
It truly is. Your self-concept, who you believe yourself to be, that seems to be the core driver. And neuroscience gives us clues about the how we can actually rewire our perceptions.
Right, the RAS, the neural pathways.
And quantum mechanics offers that mind-bending parallel, suggesting consciousness isn't just a bystander, but maybe an active participant.
And we're constantly getting feedback through emotional mirroring, social mirroring. These loops are always running.
Always. But the really empowering part is that we have tools. Practical daily practices. The mirror work, the tapping, journaling, visualization, gratitude. These aren't complicated things, but they can be incredibly powerful for consciously sculpting that inner mirror.
Which leads to maybe a final thought for everyone listening to Ponder. What if every challenge, every difficulty, every setback you face, what if it isn't just a barrier? What if it's actually an invitation?
An invitation? How so?
An invitation from your own magnetic mirror, basically asking you, prompting you, to look inside and find the limiting belief or unresolved emotion that's being reflected back to you, an opportunity to transform it.
That's a powerful reframe, seeing challenges not as problems, but as feedback, as messages from the mirror.
Exactly. Your mirror is always reflecting something.
Yeah.
The key is choosing to become that mindful observer, the one who notices the reflection and decides how to respond from within.
So maybe a simple action step for people.
Yeah, we could suggest trying that simple exercise we touched on, maybe combine a few ideas. Stand in front of a mirror sometime today or tomorrow. Really look into your own eyes.
Okay.
Acknowledge how far you've come, your resilience. Express some genuine gratitude for your journey, even the tough parts.
Gratitude first.
Then maybe set one clear, positive intention for your next step. What's one quality you want to embody, or one small step towards the reality you want to reflect? Feel it.
And
then just smile. Smile warmly at yourself, at that reflection, and try to carry that feeling, that intention forward into your day.
I like that. Simple, but potentially profound. Remember, the magnetic mirror is always there, always responding. It awaits your conscious alignment.
Step into your power to shape that inner world and watch how the outer world begins to transform.
Beautifully put.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive today.
Thank you.
Until next time, keep exploring your inner world.
If you're enjoying our podcast and the insights we share, you'll absolutely love our ebooks crafted to take your manifestation journey to the next level. These ebooks are your ultimate tools to manifest abundance, love, confidence, and prosperity. Whether you're looking to master your self-concept, unlock financial freedom, or design the life of your dreams, we've got you covered. Inside, you'll find step-by-step guides, practical exercises, and bonus tools like printable affirmation cards and daily habits to keep you aligned with your goals. Simple, actionable, and designed to fit into even the busiest lifestyle, these ebooks are your personal roadmap to success and happiness. Take the next step in your manifestation journey. Click the link, explore our ebooks, and start creating the life you deserve today.